You're listening to Sensitive, Spiritual, and Successful, the podcast where we uncover ways to connect you back to your soul self and get you unstuck to find your flow again in life so that you can live out your full potential. I'm Jasmine Lynn, a former psychotherapist turned human design soul guide and EFT tapping success coach, and I'm here to show you how to love yourself through all your levels of growth. I know you're here because you have an impact you want to make in this world and you have a light to share, and I'm here to guide you through that journey because you deserve soul-aligned success. All right, so before we dive into this, I just wanted to say that I made a mistake. I forgot the 4 6s in the last episode of personal destiny themed profile lines. And I really contemplated, like, should I just take down the episode, re-record it, and just, make it perfect? And then I thought, you know what? This is an example of doing things and messing up and it be okay. Like, is it the end of the world? No, I'm going to put a little note in the last episode that I forgot 4 6s and that they can come here for that little snippet if you want to learn more. And so I just decided to show myself a little bit of grace, and hopefully that inspires you to whatever you want to do, whatever you want to take action on, it's okay to take imperfect action. And it's also okay to make mistakes. I don't think it is the end of the world. And if anyone really has a problem with it, maybe they're just not meant to learn from me or listen to this podcast. So let's get into that. Let's get right into the 4 6s because, here it is. So again, this is a personal destiny theme. I forgot. I forgot it in the last episode. So I put the famous person here as the Dalai Lama. So 4 6s, this is someone who has the potential to really impact their network just by being who they are. As a 4 line, you need community, you need that security and relationships. And remember that through your network comes your opportunities. So like maybe it's finding the right partner, the right job, so on and so forth. The 6 line needs to embody their authenticity. I talked about that a lot in the last episode. You are here to be you. You teach us what you're up to. You tell us what you see. Your people are drawn to you more when you are doing things that are in integrity and alignment. I think it's hard for a 6 line to step out of that. I feel like the 6 lines I know stand pretty firm in their principles. But I also know a lot of 6 lines who are like in their second phase. So anyway, the way I see it is that with the 4 line, and I've mentioned this, there can be people-pleasing tendencies. And so I think the challenge here is to really stay true to you and embody your authenticity. Okay. The way I see it is that with the 4 line, and I've mentioned this, there can be some people-pleasing tendencies, like you're super friendly, you're super kind. I think Ra, like the person who channeled the human design system, Ra says like you are the friendliest person. So I think the challenge here is to really stay true to you and embody your authenticity as a 6 line while being able to connect with your people without sacrificing yourself for them. So maybe it's a challenge to find your right community because of how you stand in your integrity, or maybe you've been conditioned to people please and find that codependency in relationships. So you might have lost yourself a little bit. Whatever it is, right? There's something to reflect on and get yourself unstuck. The opportunities, like I mentioned, come from your network, and you likely feel the pull to connect with other people, but also the 6 line can be a bit aloof. So you might feel like something is wrong with you, or you judge yourself a little bit for feeling both feelings. That's just normal. Remember, there are unique challenges, but also gifts. Okay, let's talk about, so that is the 4 6s. Again, a personal destiny theme. So right angle crosses. Let's dive into fixed fate. I haven't met very many of them. They make up 1 to 2% of the population, so super rare. I found out Eminem, like the rapper, is a 4-1, is a fixed fate. And when you look at their incarnation cross, you'll see that it's a juxtaposition cross. So instead of reading left angle cross or right angle cross, you'll see that. So same thing here with the 4 wanting to connect, deeply relational, but at the same time, with the 1 line, unconscious, they are secure in their truth. I did a quick read for a 4-1, and I know a 1-year-old who is a 4-1, so I don't have a lot of personal experience with 4-1s, but I was reading what Ross said about them, and basically because the 4 line is friendly, sociable, and likes to please others, they can do that, but also as a 4-1, you're friendly and kind, but also like, no thanks, I'm doing this anyway. So that fixed fate really is like you don't change for others. 4-1s are like on this course of life. You're either with them or you're not, and they're just going down their direction, going down their path. And a lot of 4-1s can feel that. So that is the 4-1. Okay, let's get into the transpersonal lines. They are 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, and 6-3. So what does it mean? So people matter to you as a transpersonal line. The people you interact with have the ability to really change you or impact the course of your life. And at the same time, you are really here to impact others too. So where the personal destiny can learn about themselves, like I said, like through their interactions, I don't know if that's the right word. They still have interactions and they can see other people and learn about themselves kind of through that. The transpersonal profile lines can learn about themselves in the presence and interactions with others. So I see this as like one looking at the experiences, at their experiences, like the personal destiny themes, and then the other, so transpersonal, being engaged in experiences with others, if that makes sense, right? Because the personal destiny theme is like more self-absorbed in a way, like they're still learning about themselves and like reflecting on their experiences and still going on their way. And then the transpersonal lines, they're like, it's like their meetings are karmic, right? It can really alter their life, the people that they run into, or like it's not really a chance of who they run into. It's part of their experience in this lifetime. So to recap, the transpersonal lines are here to clean up karma created by the personal destiny theme profile lines. And you can see because they are the ones being impacted by people and changing the course of their life or parts of their lives because of who they meet. Again, that is all part of the plan to grow and expand in this lifetime. So let's dive in. 5-1s as a 5 line in the projection field and it being conscious. I was just thinking about it. I would love to know what your experience is like. Do you feel people wanting more from you or like they need something from you? Do you feel you need to play their savior? And do you knowingly or unconsciously take that on, or have you taken that on, in the past? Like, did you feel this is my role, I have to do this? Because just reflecting, I have that 5 line unconscious and I felt people's expectations of me and I would bend to it unconsciously. Like maybe that was just my conditioning though, so I'm not sure. This is why I need to have people on the podcast to like reflect on their experiences. So the more that you learn, the more that you reflect, I'm probably going to put out like a thing where, if somebody wants to hop on the podcast with me to talk about their experiences, I think that is way more engaging for people. So, if you are somebody who reflects on their human design and kind of sees their human design play out in their life, I, would love to invite you on to apply to have a chat with me. So anyway, so what was I going to say? Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to compare that conscious and unconscious 5 line energy because I think it's so interesting. I will say here that I've run into multiple 5-1s. I've chatted, I've supported, and they have said that they have had abrupt endings in their friendships or relationships. Like that's got to be painful. And it's like a blindsided, type of ending, right? And really as a 5 line, it's the expectations people put on you and you're like kind of sitting there like, I never said I was like that. You just projected that onto me. the 5 line is a karmic mirror, right? So you show people what they need to heal in themselves. And that isn't really nice when the person can't see that and they just throw their garbage onto you and make it your fault. So the 5 line, again, like that's just something that they can go through. So yeah, like that's just something that a theme that I've noticed with 5-1s just through my experience. Now, that's not to say that you can't be in the right projection field, right? When you are around people who know human design, and can catch when they're projecting onto you, or you're self-aware and you recognize when you're projecting onto others, that can be a time where a lot of healing can be done from your past experiences, because we not only heal like ourselves, but through our interactions in our relationships too, right? So when you find that right projection, it can be really beautiful. So as a 5-1, you are really here to be a visionary. You see the potential in people and here to bring practical solutions. You are in a balance between doing that and also coming back to you and your studies of how, how whatever works, like whatever you're studying. So how life works, really. The 1 line is all about finding security and a foundation in the knowledge that you're kind of digging through. You have to figure out how to have that time to find your truth through your research, as that can directly impact how you bring your practical solutions to the world. Okay, so there's that balance, right? When we're looking at bringing both profile line energies together, I see this as a really cool person who's knowledgeable, knows their stuff, but can also put things into a really easy to use or practical way. Maybe it's like simplifying what they know and sharing it with the world, or making something accessible and tangible for people. That's what I envision when I see, a 5-1. You break things down in simple ways. It doesn't have to be hard, but you come from a lot of research and a lot of knowledge. It's not to say that you didn't dig through all that knowledge. You just found what information was useful to bring that practical solution. That makes sense? Okay, let's move on. 5-2s. I wrote here Justin Bieber. So double projection field lines here. That sounds weird. Basically, you're in the projection field twice again with the 5 line and the 2 line. I think these people don't always recognize their power. Same thing here as a 5 line working to bring their practical solutions to the world. But the balance here is that alone time to hone in on what they are naturally good at as a 2 line. So the 2 line is called the hermit. I think there can be a lot of fear with the 5-2, like putting yourself out there. Maybe the call to be the savior results in less action to do something. I'm not sure. Again, I would love to talk to a 5-2 to hear their experiences, but that's what I would put together. Like, you still are in that projection field and people are calling you out, but the 2 line doesn't always see their gifts and talents. So I wonder if the 2 line kind of like stops the 5 line from acting as a savior as much. So remember the 2 line, they are here to have that alone time, and through that time of honing their gifts and talents and spending time in their own energy like that, they can respond to the call from people. So when you are in your little, hermiting phase, that's when people tend to call you out. That's when people tend to like say, oh, like, you're really good at this. Come show us how to do that, right? And so when you are in the right projection and the right call comes in as a 2 line, you can really help humanity. I just wonder how many, like I said, I just wonder how many 5-2s hang back and still don't trust their ability to bring in a good practical solution because they don't see their gifts as gifts, right? Like the conditioning that you might have got to where, things have to be hard. And so when you're really naturally good at something, or something's like really just naturally on your mind and your heart and you just love doing this thing, I just wonder if it's like, no, I can't. No, I don't want to put myself out there. No, I don't want to be seen, like that kind of energy. So 5-2s, I would say you need to really work on recognizing your own gifts as you begin to see what you're good at. And remember, it can be, again, natural to you. Don't make it harder than it is. you can then impact a ton of people, whether that is teaching, leading, sharing what it is you have inside of you. I think, as an example, maybe like a psychic medium, maybe you have this gift inside of you, and then you realize, wow, I have had so many experiences in my life. And now I've worked on ways to connect to myself and ground myself, gain the necessary skills to really hone in on this natural gift that I have. Now I've created a new framework to share with the world and teach the world and show the world. And then you go on and do that. That's how I would conceptualize that. All right. 6-2s, you hold a special place in my heart. As a 3-5, we create a lot of harmony, 6-2s and 3-5s. And I was reading some stuff from Raw that the 5 line needs the 6 line because the 5 line is like, oh, look at my solutions. Look at what I can teach the world. And some people, are like, okay, that's weird, bad projection field. This is not helpful. But then it's like when a 6 line is like, no, what they have to say is actually helpful and good, because 6 lines, live in integrity. They have, they are true and authentic, and people listen to them when they are really embodied. So the 6 line is like, hey, no, listen to this person. It's actually good stuff. I thought that was kind of funny how that interaction works. I definitely see that with my husband and I as a 6-2, and me being a 3-5. It's like he tells people about the things that I'm into. He's like, no, this it's pretty cool. Like, you should listen to what she has to say. And, if it's not for them, it's not for them. Or sometimes, people come to me for the people that he shares what I do or the knowledge that I have. Sometimes it's like a random call, can you work with my child? Can you help my child? So that savior call, right? Like that projection, is still there, but sometimes it's not always the right call, right? I'm like, I could help them, but am I the right person for that specific case, right? So that's how I see that play out in my own life. So as a 6 line, remember, you go through 3 phases. Your first 30 years or so, you are acting as a 3rd line, gaining your experiences through that trial and error phase. And then 30 on or so, it's called being on the roof. So if you've got the experience nailed down and this wider view on life now. And while that is a gift, it can be difficult because you probably see things people can't see, right? Having that big picture view or bird's eye view of things, and you kind of put together how things work, and then people don't see that wide view or that bigger picture that you tend to see naturally now, right? So in this phase, what works and doesn't work, right? You've gone through that trial and error phase. You likely want to do the inner work in this phase. You are driven to want to heal and find what you bring to this world. That is normal as you start to really live in your truth again. Like, you have that drive, probably so in you to just be authentic and just be you. But of course, conditioning and life, right? So this is like a time where you're like, okay, I got to work on myself. So you want to shed whatever was thrown onto you, and so that you can show up unapologetically. After about 50 or so, you are embodying your wisdom deeply. You're living life freely as you and impacting people just because people are inspired by you being you. So now, as a 6-2 with that 2 there, you have a need to be alone, that need to just hermit away, and that's okay. Don't judge yourself for it. In fact, you need to do it, because then as you hermit, you'll notice people call you out more, like I had mentioned. They see you more, and then again, responding to that call to bring your natural gifts and talents to the world just makes you, in my opinion, like a real shining star. Like, you've got these natural gifts. People want you, they just want you to live authentically, and then they want you to bring your natural gifts and talents. They want to learn from you. They want to see what you're doing. You're just like the way that you think, the way that you see the world, and the way that you hone your gifts and talents is just people are drawn to. The last one here is 6-3. Same thing with the 6 line I just described with the 3 phases they go through. But the 3rd line still is living life and gaining that experience through that trial and error process. A 6-3 is Steve Jobs and Serena Williams. That is the ultimate balance here for 6-3s in their journey, like relying on your inner self as a 6 line, yet bumping into life as a 3rd line, with that being unconscious. So there's a lot of resilience here, finding new ways to do things, filled with tons of wisdom just through, your experiences and the way you see things as a 6 line. And I read somewhere that, and I can't find, maybe it was on a website, but it's like the 6-3, you're filled with that like wisdom, but you also have great objectivity. The challenge here is the whole 3rd line bumping into life and the 6th line wanting more stability, right? They are someone who wants to find their soulmate. 3rd line is like, bonds made to be broken, ending relationships here and there. So that like that search for stability continues on, it's not to say that they'll never find it, but that's like a bit of tension in the 2 lines. And then also the 6th line is a little more perfectionistic. So the 3rd line stuff of trying things and figuring out what works by what doesn't can cause, again, some tension, right? It's like, let me just go and explore. It's like, oh, but this is how I want to do it, or this is the way that I see things going, and it doesn't go that way. So again, even though there are all of these profile lines have challenges and like learning how to balance both energies together, that's the journey about learning more about yourself and how to give yourself more grace as you move through this lifetime. So that's it for today, and the breakdown of all the profile lines complete. And that's it for today's episode. Please share it with anyone else who wants to learn more about human design, or anyone who may be on their personal growth and spiritual development journey. You can DM me on Instagram to talk about what resonated with you, what you learned about yourself. I love hearing about human design in real life, so I really appreciate those conversations. And if you would like, you can leave a comment, a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. That support means the world. Thank you so much for listening. I know time is a valuable currency. Take care.